Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the place where we take stacks of knowledge, the articles, the research, the real-world dialogues, and turn them into the critical insights you need.
We're here to guide you, the listener, through all this material so you can really quickly and thoroughly understand what truly matters.
Today we're embarking on a pretty insightful journey, I think. We're covering two areas of daily life that, at first glance, they seem completely disconnected.
They really do. First, the discipline it takes to maintain a functional home.
And second, the massive, massive willpower needed to overcome a profound personal habit.
But they're both fundamentally defined by routine, by control, and the psychological burden of action, or, well, avoidance.
That's precisely our mission.
Mhm.
So we're going to start by getting extremely granular on the language and the logistics of household management.
Everything from defining what a mess actually is.
Right, to analyzing the subtle art and negotiating who's responsible for all that domestic labor.
Then in the second half, we'll pivot into the psychology and the neurochemistry of addiction.
Specifically focusing on smoking. Why people start, why it's so viciously hard to quit, and the enormous cumulative implications of that single decision.
And we want to provide more than just a summary. We're really digging into the why behind the routines, the psychological tactics people use in everyday conversation.
And the really severe, long-term health and social consequences of these ingrained behavior patterns.
Yeah. You'll leave here with quick, thorough knowledge about essential vocabulary, effective strategies for daily life, and critical medical and social insights.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to start where everyone lives,
Yeah.
the domestic sphere. This can be, a domestic battlefield full of chaos.
Or it can be a sanctuary. It really depends on the level of discipline that's applied to the cleaning schedule.
It really does. We found some excellent material defining that state of disarray that I think almost everyone recognizes immediately.
Oh, for sure. That feeling you get and often feel personally guilty about.
Let's start with that incredibly common, maybe slightly exaggerated phrase, such a mess. What does it truly convey when we use it?
Well, it conveys a state that goes way beyond simple untidiness. I mean, such a mess means a space is deeply dirty, profoundly disorganized.
Or that things are just, literally strewn everywhere.
Exactly. It's an immediate signal of overwhelm. It's the phrase you use when your clothes aren't just out of place, but are actually covering the floor. Your shoes are scattered.
Papers piled high, dishes stacked to the ceiling. We've all been there.
We have.
And that instantly relates to the cognitive load, that sinking feeling you get when you walk into a space, be it your kitchen counter or your office, and you're just overwhelmed.
Yeah, that feeling of everything being slightly out of control.
Right.
Absolutely. The environment impacts the mind. When you're faced with such a mess, you are confronted by a long list of chores.
And that's a universally understood word, chores. It just means those common household tasks that have to get done to keep the home functional.
We're talking about things like doing the laundry, the simple act of making the bed every morning.
Taking out the garbage when it's full. I actually found the anecdote about chores in the material pretty compelling. One person mentioned their childhood chore wasn't washing dishes.
It was chopping wood.
Yeah, chopping wood.
That example is fascinating because it highlights how the definition of a chore can be so culturally or contextually specific.
For sure.
In some environments, chores are directly tied to maintenance or even self-sufficiency, like chopping wood for heat. But the core concept is the same. These are necessary, often non-optional duties.
So if chaos or such a mess is the problem, we need to understand the defined levels of success. The material introduced two distinct, helpful terms here: tidy up and spotless.
Right. To tidy up is sort of the essential first step toward order. It just means putting things into their correct or intended spot.
So organizing the immediate visible clutter.
Exactly. It's the baseline level of organization that makes a room livable.
But spotless, now that's the gold standard. That's the ultimate aspirational achievement.
That's it. If a house is described as spotless, it means it is truly immaculately clean. Not a single visible spot of dirt, dust, or residue on any surface.
It's the difference between just organizing and, deep sanitary level cleanliness.
Precisely.
To achieve that spotless level, we have to dive into the specific domestic duties. The dialogue we analyzed detailed quite a list of mandatory actions. What were the specific tasks?
The list provided covered the foundational tasks for general upkeep. These include doing the dishes, sweeping the floor to collect dirt, mopping floors to sanitize,
dusting furniture surfaces, vacuuming a rug or carpet, which is huge for getting out that deeply embedded dirt and allergens.
It is. And even the less obvious task of setting the table, which organizes the dining area. These are the daily and weekly actions needed to transition a space from mess to sanctuary.
And we can't overlook the external duties, particularly, provisioning the home. Which brings us to the term groceries.
Right. Groceries are defined simply as all the food items you need to buy at the supermarket. Staple items like bread, milk, meat, vegetables.
This vocabulary is so central to daily communication, and it leads to all those related terms that are crucial for daily function.
Like the grocery store or supermarket, the regular act of grocery shopping.
And of course, the indispensable grocery list.
Oh, having that list saves so much time. It reduces impulsive spending, and it avoids that deep frustration of realizing you forgot the single most important ingredient.
I've been there too many times. Now, here's where we gain a deeper linguistic insight, which is incredibly useful for anyone navigating English across different regions. We found some subtle but common linguistic differences in how we talk about these chores and the places we buy things.
This is a classic point of distinction, especially when you're comparing North American English and British English.
Right.
For instance, what Americans commonly call a mall.
A large indoor building with many shops.
Right. British English typically refers to that as a shopping center. Same function, just a different name.
And then there's the cleaning tools themselves, which provide a window into how brand names can just sort of infiltrate common language.
Yes. What Americans call vacuuming a rug, many people in the UK often call hoovering the rug.
Which is a perfect example of that linguistic phenomenon, a genericized trademark, right?
It is. Hoover is a brand name, originally a manufacturer of vacuum cleaners. But it's become so synonymous with the product that it's used as a generic verb for the act of vacuuming.
And we see this all the time, like Kleenex instead of tissue, or Band-Aid instead of adhesive bandage.
Exactly. It's a fascinating insight into how language evolves, driven by dominant branding.
That deepens the understanding considerably. And finally, the terminology for the very waste we are cleaning up.
The difference is simple but essential for fluency. In American English, we say trash.
But in British English, it's rubbish.
Right. These small differences, while they seem minor, are really essential for feeling comfortable and natural in everyday cross-cultural conversation.
Okay, so we've covered the vocabulary of the messy house, the clean house, and the regional nuances of talking about it. Let's pivot now and analyze why this cleaning matters so intensely.
Right. Not just for hospitality, but for your own health and psychology.
The material provided a powerful 5-part framework for why cleaning is truly essential, moving far beyond just how things look.
And this framework ties directly into the listener's overall quality of life.
Let's unpack this, starting with the most tangible benefit, your physical health.
A clean house functions as preventative health care. Sweeping, mopping, and routinely wiping surfaces physically removes dust, dirt, harmful germs, bacteria, and viruses.
So you're literally reducing the amount of particulate matter and aerosolized pathogens in the air and on surfaces.
Precisely. This dramatically reduces the chances of allergies, asthma flare-ups, and the transmission of common illnesses. I mean, reducing harmful bacteria in the kitchen and bathroom is just a non-negotiable step in reducing the chances of getting sick.
So it's not just looking clean, it's literally reducing the biological load in your environment. The second benefit is much more psychological and maybe even more powerful.
Mental well-being. A clean, tidy space directly promotes calmness and helps to reduce stress and anxiety.
Because when your physical environment is messy and disorganized, your mind often mirrors that chaos, doesn't it?
It does. You experience what psychologists call decision fatigue or mental overhead, the subconscious effort required to navigate clutter and remember where things are.
A tidy space reduces that overhead.
Exactly. It allows you to think clearly, relax deeply, and, most importantly, it provides a fundamental sense of control and peace in what can often feel like a very chaotic world.
That sense of control ties directly into the third crucial point, better organization and efficiency.
When you establish a system and organize your belongings, you eliminate wasted time and frustration. Think of the aggregate time lost over a year just searching for keys, or that one important receipt.
Yes, keeping everything in its proper defined place saves so much mental energy.
It does. Energy that can be directed toward more productive or restful activities.
Okay, the fourth point focuses outward, the social currency of respect and hospitality.
Maintaining a tidy house is a profound form of respect, both for yourself and for others. When guests visit, they feel immediately welcome and comfortable in a clean environment.
Right. Your house leaves a good impression because it reflects a disciplined personality. It signals that you value your space and the people who enter it.
It sets a positive social standard.
And finally, the fifth point is pure, non-negotiable pragmatism. Safety.
A messy house introduces genuine hazards. Items like stray toys, shoes, or stacks of clutter on the floor aren't just unsightly, they are trip hazards.
Which can cause serious accidents, particularly for children or older relatives.
Or even just someone rushing through the room. Regular cleaning systematically removes these potential accident vectors.
Given how critical cleaning is, the material also provided 7 effective strategies for getting it done efficiently. We should go through these, not just as a list, but as an application of discipline.
Absolutely. Strategy number 1, make a plan. This is the foundational step. Don't just say, I'll clean the kitchen, that's too daunting.
You have to break it down.
You have to. Break big jobs into specific, measurable tasks. Wash the dishes, wipe the counter, scrub the stove, sweep the floor. A list makes the process finite, measurable, and less overwhelming.
Strategy number 2, gather your tools. Before you start any physical labor, make sure you have everything ready.
Brooms, mops, cleaning cloths, detergent, vacuum, trash bags, all of it.
Because having everything ready beforehand eliminates those frustrating interruptions where you have to stop a task to go search for the dish soap.
Preparation drastically improves speed and efficiency. Number 3, clean one room at a time. This is essential for focus and morale.
When you focus solely on the kitchen until it's finished, you get the satisfaction of seeing tangible progress.
And start with the busiest rooms, like the kitchen or bathroom, because they offer the most immediate health benefits.
Strategy number 4 is the secret of professional cleaners. Start from top to bottom.
Yes. Dust shelves, clean light fixtures, and wipe down furniture first. This is simply using gravity to your advantage.
All the loosened dust and dirt will fall onto the floor, which you then clean last.
Exactly. It ensures you only have to mop or vacuum the floor once, capturing all the residue.
Okay, strategy number 5. Declutter aggressively.
This is distinct from cleaning. Decluttering means getting rid of unneeded items, old papers, broken appliances, unused clothes.
These items take up physical and mental space. You have to get them out of the house.
Right. Donate them, recycle them, create a truly spacious and tidy environment.
Strategy number 6 involves timing and consistency. Set a schedule.
Distinguish clearly between the quick daily tasks, like making the bed and washing the dishes, and the heavier weekly tasks, like mopping the floor or deep cleaning the bathrooms.
Making it a consistent, non-negotiable habit is the key to maintaining long-term cleanliness.
And strategy 7, which touches on the social dynamic, involve everyone. If you live with family or roommates, the workload must be shared.
Working together drastically increases speed, reduces individual burden, and promotes fairness in the household.
For sure, it ensures no single person feels resentful or overwhelmed by carrying the entire domestic load.
Speaking of fairness and working together, let's circle back and analyze the fascinating language used in the dialogue we analyzed. The subtle language of avoidance and negotiation.
Absolutely. This is real, natural English being used to navigate social friction. Take the phrase used to gracefully avoid a task. I am in the middle of something right now.
That is infinitely more natural and less confrontational than saying, I'm busy.
It is. It implies you're actively engaged in something that can't be immediately interrupted. It buys you time.
Then, if someone is trying to quickly mollify their partner while delaying, they promise quick action. I'll be there in a second.
A very common, natural phrase that does not mean 60 seconds. It just means, I'll be there very soon.
It's an assurance of intent.
Exactly. But the real skill comes in the polite suggestion or negotiation, which is a classic tactic to trade labor. The speaker said, why don't you clean the floors and I'll go to the supermarket?
That structure, why don't you, is a very fluent and polite way of asking someone to do something or suggesting a trade-off.
It avoids a direct, demanding command and instead proposes a reciprocal, fair division of labor. It's an exercise in joint problem solving.
This analysis leads perfectly to the observation about the changing dynamics of housework. The dialogue specifically showed the man doing the housework acting as a house husband.
This reflects what's been termed a new trend, particularly in North America, where household chores are increasingly being divided equally between partners.
Which stands in sharp contrast to traditional roles where, historically, the woman was automatically expected to handle the vast majority of domestic tasks.
But it's a critical distinction to ask if the division is truly 50-50, or if one person still shoulders the bulk of the mental labor.
Right. The planning, the scheduling, recognizing what needs to be done in the first place.
That's it. While the physical execution of tasks might be split, The mental overhead creating the grocery list, remembering the cleaning schedule, can still fall disproportionately on one partner.
True equality in partnership requires equality in both the physical and the cognitive load.
Absolutely.
That level of discipline planning, scheduling, and overcoming the immediate desire to avoid work moves us perfectly into our next topic.
Yeah, we're shifting gears from the necessity of domestic routine to the complexity of a profound personal habit, smoking, and the challenge of quitting.
We're transitioning from the smell of a messy house to the powerful, pervasive smell of stale tobacco smoke.
Right. Introduced dramatically in the second dialogue with the complaint that the room smells like an ashtray. The language immediately signals confrontation and discomfort.
Let's start with the vice in its lingua franca. Define pack of smokes.
Smokes is just an informal colloquial shorthand for cigarettes. So a pack of smokes is the standardized box, usually containing about 20 individual cigarettes.
And what does it mean to say a room smells like an ashtray?
An ashtray is the receptacle, a dish or bowl designed to collect ash and spent cigarette butts. So when someone says a room smells like an ashtray, it means the odor is truly terrible.
It's permeated by the smell of stale, cold cigarette smoke and residue.
Exactly. It signals poor air quality and neglect.
The material gave us a comprehensive look at the different methods people use globally to consume tobacco or nicotine.
And it emphasized that the underlying risk remains, no matter the method.
The most traditional are, of course, cigarettes, small rolls of dried tobacco and paper. Then you have cigars.
Right, which are significantly bigger, thicker, contain more tobacco, and are often reserved for special occasions. And the less common method today, pipes.
Then there are the more social and cultural forms of consumption.
Yes, hookahs or shishas. This involves a large water pipe used for smoking flavored sweetened tobacco. It's really popular in certain cultural settings and often smoked in groups.
And the critical public health takeaway here is that due to the long duration of use and the volume of smoke inhaled, it can be just as harmful as cigarettes.
Or even more so in some cases.
And then the modern iteration, which has become widespread but often comes with a dangerous misconception about its safety.
That would be the electronic cigarette, or e-cigarettes and vapes. These devices operate differently because they don't burn tobacco.
They heat a liquid containing nicotine into a vapor, which the user inhales.
Right, and while they're widely marketed as a safer alternative, vaping is not harmless. It still contains nicotine, the addictive core, and various other chemicals that pose significant long-term risks.
Now here's the technical deep dive we need. The addictive cycle. What is happening physically and neurochemically when a person lights up?
Lighting up just means using a lighter or a match to ignite the cigarette. Once lit, the smoke chemicals are rapidly drawn into the lungs and immediately enter the bloodstream,
Traveling throughout the whole body and directly to the brain. And the key player here is nicotine.
It is. Nicotine is an incredibly potent psychoactive substance. When it reaches the brain, it locks onto specific receptors and triggers the rapid release of powerful neurotransmitters, most significantly dopamine.
Dopamine, the primary chemical responsible for feelings of pleasure, calmness, and reward.
Exactly. The temporary feeling of satisfaction or happiness the smoker experiences is this artificial dopamine rush.
But that feeling is incredibly short-lived, which leads immediately back to the cycle.
Precisely. The dopamine spike is sharp but fades very quickly. As the nicotine level drops, the brain, which has been artificially stimulated, begins to crave that chemical reward again.
And with chronic smoking, the brain starts to adapt, doesn't it?
It does. It creates more nicotine receptors to handle the constant chemical assault. This adaptation means the user develops a tolerance, needing more nicotine just to feel normal.
Not even happy or calm, just to avoid the discomfort of withdrawal.
Exactly. And this leads directly to the intense difficulty of quitting, addiction, and withdrawal.
If a person tries to stop, their body is deprived of the nicotine it has become chemically dependent on.
And that deprivation triggers nicotine withdrawal. It manifests as profound discomfort. Severe stress, anxiety, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and intense physical cravings.
This physical and psychological distress makes willpower feel completely insufficient.
Which just reinforces the addiction cycle. The more established the habit, the harder the system fights against quitting.
The conversation we analyzed provided the critical language needed when discussing managing or stopping this habit. Let's define cut down.
To cut down means deliberately reducing the quantity consumed. If a person smokes 10 cigarettes a day, cutting down means strictly reducing that to maybe 2 or 3.
It's a strategy focused on moderation, not complete abstinence. And this terminology isn't limited to smoking, of course.
Not at all. It applies to all self-discipline, whether you're cutting down on carbs, sugar, salt, or fatty foods during a diet.
But the strategy that demands the most radical, immediate use of willpower is going cold turkey. What exactly does that phrase mean for the smoker?
Going cold turkey means stopping entirely, immediately, suddenly, and forever. 0 cigarettes from the moment the decision is made. It's complete, immediate withdrawal.
It's generally recognized as the hardest and often least successful method without intense support because of the shock of withdrawal.
That's right. While a small percentage of highly determined individuals succeed that way, the majority benefit significantly from support. That's why we have tools designed to mitigate the severity of withdrawal.
And which aids were specifically mentioned to help manage this difficult transition?
The aids mentioned fall under nicotine replacement therapy, or NRT, specifically the nicotine patch and nicotine chewing gum.
These tools provide the body with measured, controlled doses of nicotine without the thousands of harmful chemicals in tobacco smoke.
Exactly. They slowly release the substance, helping to manage the intense physical cravings and gradually weaning the person off the dependency.
Okay, now we transition into the complex and often irrational motivations behind why people start smoking in the first place.
It's rarely a simple, logical decision. It's driven overwhelmingly by psychological and environmental factors. The beginning of the habit is almost always rooted in exposure and social influence.
Let's talk about the primary environmental factors. What did you find?
Exposure is paramount. If someone grows up in a household where family members, parents, older siblings smoke daily, they just see it constantly. The act becomes normalized.
Treat it as just another routine activity, like drinking coffee.
Yeah, and this removes the initial psychological barrier, making them less likely to question the behavior when they encounter it outside the home.
Then there is the massive, almost unavoidable role of the social circle, social pressure.
If a person, particularly a teenager, is in a social group where most of their friends smoke, they might feel intense unspoken pressure to join in.
That desire to fit in and avoid feeling excluded is an incredibly powerful social driver.
It is, and what might start as an occasional experimental puff quickly becomes a habit, then an addiction, driven purely by the need for social acceptance.
Moving on to the psychological and cultural drivers, let's dissect the most common but ultimately misleading motivation. Stress relief.
Many people start because they genuinely believe that smoking helps them relax and manage high stress levels. They feel a temporary calm after lighting up, which is that temporary dopamine rush we discussed.
But the relaxation is fleeting and insidious.
It is. Smoking doesn't remove the root cause of the stress. It only creates a dependent cycle where the person now experiences nicotine withdrawal as an additional self-inflicted source of stress.
Another common starting point is just curiosity.
Curiosity is a powerful human driver. People simply wonder what the experience is like. What does it taste like? How does it make people feel?
And they might try it just once.
The critical warning is that for a percentage of the population, that single act of curiosity establishes the conditions for a rapid progression to regular use and dependency.
There's also the problematic motivation related to body image and weight control.
The belief in weight loss benefits. This is unfortunately common. Nicotine is an appetite suppressant, and people believe smoking reduces hunger, helping them stay slim.
But this is an incredibly unhealthy and counterproductive way to manage weight.
Absolutely. The catastrophic long-term damage from smoking far, far outweighs any perceived short-term caloric benefit.
We should also acknowledge the role of media and advertising, particularly historically, in glamorizing the habit.
In the past, media influence was profound. Movies, TV, magazines relentlessly showed stylish, confident celebrities smoking, which made the habit seem sophisticated or mature.
And even though advertising is heavily regulated now, the legacy of that imagery persists.
It does. You still see characters smoking in popular culture, which can subconsciously make the act seem attractive.
Culturally, smoking can be tied to much deeper social and traditional interactions.
In some cultures, smoking is interwoven with social events, hospitality rituals, or serious discussions. Growing up in this kind of environment means accepting smoking as a perfectly normal, functional part of life.
And the professional or academic driver? Concentration.
This is particularly common among professionals or students who rely on intense focus. There's a common belief that a cigarette break improves focus or mental clarity.
They're trying to get an artificial boost to combat mental block, only to find themselves reliant on the nicotine just to feel functional.
Exactly. And finally, we have the factor of rebellion, which is often a strong identity marker among younger people.
Smoking is used to assert independence or to actively break rules set by parents or society.
If the activity is seen as forbidden, it naturally becomes more tempting. Lighting a cigarette becomes an overt act of defiance that quickly morphs into an uncontrollable habit.
All of these starting points, rational or irrational, lead inevitably to that conflict between the decision to quit and the physical need for nicotine.
The willpower challenge. This is the internal battlefield. We need to define these forces clearly. Willpower is the cognitive force, the desire or strength of mind to follow a tough decision.
It's the mental muscle. The opponent of willpower is the urge or the craving.
The urge is the strong physical and psychological impulse. For a smoker, this is the intense, almost unbearable physical craving for nicotine.
The tragic irony is that many people start believing they can stop anytime, vastly underestimating the powerful hold that nicotine establishes almost immediately.
It is. And finally, society has recognized this and has developed mechanisms to increase the friction of smoking by cracking down on it.
Cracking down is a fantastic phrase. It means becoming significantly more strict, making it explicitly harder to do something.
For sure. And this has fundamentally changed the landscape of smoking laws. The government is cracking down by banning smoking in most public places, restaurants, and bars.
The intention is to denormalize the behavior and make it logistically more difficult.
Right. And the most universal form of crackdown is the massive financial friction applied through taxes. The taxes on cigarettes are incredibly steep.
Right. The material noted costs ranging as high as 10 to 12 US dollars for a single pack.
And if someone smokes just one pack a day, the annual expense exceeds $4,300.
That cost is staggering. The material emphasizes the opportunity cost. That money, if saved, could be used for much healthier pursuits: travel, education, investments.
The financial freedom gained by quitting is often an equally strong motivator as the health benefits.
Okay, so we know why people start and the massive cost of the habit. Let's move into the critical analysis of the far-reaching effects of smoking.
The effects are cumulative and aggressive, systematically damaging virtually every major system in the body over time.
Starting with the lungs, the primary point of contact and damage.
Smoking directly damages the delicate tissue of the lungs, leading to chronic issues. The early signs are persistent coughing and shortness of breath.
This difficulty arises because the smoke paralyzes the cilia, the tiny hairs that naturally clean the airways.
Right, and it introduces thousands of toxins. Over time, this damage leads to severe long-term conditions like emphysema and COPD, making simple activities like walking or climbing stairs an immense struggle.
Next is the heart and the entire cardiovascular system.
The chemicals in smoke, especially carbon monoxide, are highly destructive. Carbon monoxide replaces oxygen in the blood, forcing the heart to work harder.
And at the same time, nicotine causes blood vessels to narrow.
A process known as atherosclerosis. This toxic combination significantly increases the risk of dangerously high blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks, even in younger smokers.
The external damage, especially to the skin, is something many people overlook until it's too late.
The aesthetic effects are profound. Smoking reduces the necessary oxygen and nutrient supply reaching the skin cells. This leads to dull, dry, and often grayish skin.
And crucially, it accelerates the breakdown of collagen and elastin, causing wrinkles to develop much earlier and more deeply. Smokers often display visual aging far beyond their chronological age.
And finally, the systematic damage to the body's line of defense. The immune system.
The immune system is constantly under stress from the toxins, which diminishes its capacity to fight off illness. Smokers get sick more often?
They do. Simple colds, the flu, more serious infections, and their body's natural repair mechanisms are compromised. Wounds and cuts heal much more slowly because smoking reduces overall blood flow.
Okay, let's pivot to the harm done to innocent bystanders. Secondhand or passive smoking.
Secondhand smoking is when the smoke from the burning tip of a cigarette and the smoke exhaled by the smoker spreads into the air, and non-smokers nearby inhale it involuntarily.
And even if you don't smoke yourself, breathing this in is proven to cause serious health problems.
For sure. Children whose lungs are still developing, pregnant women, and older people are particularly at high risk.
And the risk of fetal harm is a big one.
Smoking during pregnancy is directly linked to increased chances of severe health problems for the baby, including dangerously low birth weight and lifelong breathing difficulties.
The impact is clearly not just biological. It's heavily financial and social, creating isolation,
Financially, as we've established, the costs are staggering. The thousands of dollars spent annually on cigarettes represent a massive lost opportunity.
And socially, the smell is a huge isolating factor.
Non-smokers often find the strong, lingering smell of stale cigarettes deeply offensive. The odor clings stubbornly to clothing, hair, furniture, cars.
This often creates social distance and isolation. Smokers frequently find it difficult to fully participate in non-smoking spaces.
And we can't overlook the considerable environmental impact. The damage is twofold. First, the smoke directly pollutes the air. Second, the physical waste cigarette butts is a massive contributor to pollution.
They take years to break down and often end up in oceans and rivers, where they harm wildlife.
And there is the serious constant threat of fire hazard. Carelessly discarded burning cigarettes are a documented cause of devastating forest fires.
It's a comprehensive and frankly daunting list of negative consequences. But we must conclude this section with the encouraging news: the body's amazing capacity to heal.
Which begins immediately after quitting. That is the most critical point to reinforce. As soon as a person stops smoking, the body initiates a profound repair process.
Within hours, carbon monoxide levels drop, improving oxygen availability.
Within days, breathing becomes easier and energy levels increase. The long-term risks of serious diseases begin to fall, and skin starts to regain vitality.
Plus, the improved sense of taste and smell is often reported as one of the most immediate and satisfying rewards.
Absolutely. Improved senses and the massive financial savings provide tangible, immediate reinforcement. Quitting smoking is profoundly difficult, yes, but it is achievable with determination, planning, and support.
The same tools required to manage the domestic chaos we started with.
Exactly. Every small step toward quitting is a monumental step toward a healthier, richer, and cleaner life.
So, we've come full circle in this deep dive. We started by meticulously defining the language and strategies required to manage Duma's domestic chaos, ensuring a safe, sanitary, and calm home.
And then we moved into the deeply psychological and chemical battle of conquering a habit like smoking.
What's fascinating here, and the ultimate takeaway, is the powerful common thread that links these two seemingly disparate topics.
The absolute necessity of routine, the power or lack of willpower, and how small, repeated daily decisions have massive, cumulative, long-term effects on your health, happiness, and finances.
When you clean your house effectively, using those 7 strategies, you're demonstrating the self-discipline needed to create a sense of control and mental peace.
And when you successfully resist the intense physiological urge to smoke, you are demonstrating a self-control and clarity that fundamentally impacts your physical survival. Both demand the same inner muscle.
The simple daily habit loops define us. The 7 strategies for cleaning, making a plan, setting a schedule, involving everyone.
They're exactly the same principles needed to tackle an addiction like smoking. Determination, support, and breaking the monumental task of quitting into smaller, manageable, daily actions.
So we've discussed the importance of a tidy house for mental peace and the immense difficulty of breaking habits like smoking. Here is the final provocative thought for you, the listener, to carry forward.
If the simple act of implementing a system and keeping your physical home spotless gives you that profound sense of control and mental clarity, what is the house, the area of life or behavior you need to clean most urgently in your own mind? And what persistent mess are you currently in the middle of, avoiding the confrontation, that you need to prioritize tidying up with determination and a new plan? Consider where your willpower is most needed and start today.